A very good evening. You're watching Newsx and I'm Shivani Singh. In a shocking case of sexual harassment, a South Korean woman accused an airport staffer of misconduct at Bengaluru's Kempegowda International Airport. Allegations have surfaced stating that the staffer, a contract worker with Air India's AISATS, touched the woman inappropriately under the garb of manual frisking. Making false claims of issues with her check-in baggage, the accused, 25-year-old Mohammed Affan Ahmed, asked her to accompany him for manual checking, taking her near the men's washroom. Affan then proceeded to touch her chest and private parts. When she objected, he reportedly hugged her and said thank you and asked her to leave. The woman immediately alerted authorities and Affan was detained by airport security, who has stated that he had no authority to carry out the checking and a female passenger may only be frisked by a female staff member. Now, police have stated that CCTV footage has corroborated the woman's account and Affan, who is in judicial custody, has been booked under Section 75 of the BNS. But the incident has raised concerns of safety at airports. The woman, meanwhile, stated that the bitter experience she underwent should not be seen as a reflection of safety levels in India. However, she raised concerns about the power imbalance at airports. The woman said that she agreed to another round of checks since she was concerned as to whether she was unknowingly causing a serious issue at the airport. To discuss this topic further, I am joined by Dr. Swati Jindal Garg, AOR Supreme Court, Tahara Hassan, social activist, and Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast to discuss this unfortunate incident. If I can go across to Dr. Swati Jindal Garg first. Ma'am, a really unfortunate incident that has come to the fore over here. How do we prevent such things from happening? Because this woman who was the victim actually, she has stated that this does not represent the entire culture of in India, of safety in India, but this actually portrays the power imbalance that exists at the airport.
No, definitely, it's extremely saddening and humiliating to see the kind of projection we as Indians make. Also, considering that the lady has been kind enough to suggest that she's not alleging that the entire country is like that. It is deeply saddening that on her way back when she was about to take a flight back to South Korea, as from what I have read, that this incident has happened to her. Now, see, regarding how we can stop these incidents from happening, see, it's not like we don't have the legislation. We have multiple legislations, including concerned sections of the BNS. Apart from that, we also have the Sexual Harassment, Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, which also includes women who are visitors. So there must be a internal complaint committee at the airport, which would be covering the visitors and the passengers who are molested or harassed by the employees of the airport. Nonetheless, despite the existence of these penalties and these offenses that are earmarked under relevant statutes, the fact that this has happened, and that too, without any fear of any repercussion by an employee of the airport, it just shows the state of affairs that the country is in. The only way of stopping this is to ensure, see, even if you look at Section 75 under which the offense has been booked, it talks about punishment for up to 1 year and fine. I feel that considering the impact of such acts, even a punishment of 1 year, up to 1 year is too less. Nonetheless, care must be taken that this punishment is definitely imposed in the strictest of sense and the matter is not allowed to linger forever, so that people who indulge in such behavior are warned, and they must, until and unless that time comes that such people, at the mere thought of inflicting such harassment against women, they should get goosebumps when they start thinking about the repercussions. Till the time this happens, such incidents will continue to occur. So
Right.
what
In
we
fact,
need today is a strictest of implementation of all these. Uh, Forget about 1 year. You put that person behind bars for a month and give him the strictest of punishment so that he will think 10 times before doing this in the future. Instead of just shrugging and saying that, Are kuch nahi hota, dekhi jayegi. You know, that dekhi jayegi attitude we have to take out of all the people who are offenders.
right. In fact, let me also rope in Mr. Sanjay Sahai on this. Mr. Sahai, how are you looking at this case of harassment that is coming to the fore? Because the victim over here, she has stated that, you know, there was a power imbalance. She was afraid that she was in fact flouting some rules, and that's why she agreed to the secondary checking. So how do we make sure that you know, people in uniform are not misusing you know, their authority over there at the airport?
That this fellow was not a person in uniform to start with. He was a staffer, ground staffer of AISATS. So having said that, this is the most reprehensible, shameful and embarrassing sort of an incident which has put the country in, and there is absolutely no explanation to these things. As for the statute and the way the statute is implemented, they are totally different things. The way statute is to be implemented, there are lots of different levels by which we reach a place where there is the actual implementation. As far as this particular case is concerned, I think there is complete absence of background verification of the nature which is required. Contractual employees, they come in and they go out, and the nature of background investigation verification, even if it is there, it is at a very minimal sort of a level. The second point is that at no place the passenger should come in contact with ground staffers and people of that nature. It has to be completely limited to immigration, security, and related staff only. There was a scope wherein this fellow, he has studied the whole thing and he has barged in and he has created this sort of a situation. So there's the second point. Third, I don't think there is any serious training which is going with contractual employees and all this variety of private agencies who operate at the airport for their understanding of law and what the repercussions would be. Now, this person has already been fired besides being booked under Section 75 of the BNS. So he has been fired, and the concerned company says that it is an unpardonable act. So that's perfectly fine. But as we move further, is there any system wherein it is completely ingrained into that person that any misdemeanor or crime of this type will lead to actually you getting fired, criminal case, and then you also being put to shame? So background investigation of contractual employees, also the power imbalance which you are talking about. I think wherever the power imbalance is there, there should be enhanced punishment. And the trial should happen from the investigation, charge sheet till the trial. I think everything should get completed in a span of 30 days. It is a close and shut case given the nature of CCTV inputs which are available and the way the victim has narrated the whole story. So there is nothing great amount of investigation left in this case. It should be done immediately charge sheeted and under section 75. I think the subclause 1, 2 and 3. So they attract some 3 years of punishment or fine or both. So maximum amount of punishment if it is given in a predictable manner in a span of 1 year time. So that is going to make a difference. This power imbalance, no, that needs to be sorted out. Whether it is office, whether it is the airport scenario, whether it is a police station, whatever the case may be. I think under those circumstances, the whole judicial trial, starting from investigation, should get completed, and there has to be a very enhanced level of punishment, and that should primarily be rigorous imprisonment and nothing else.
Right. In fact, Tahira Hassan, how are you viewing this situation that has unfolded at the Bengaluru airport?
This incident is extremely disturbing, you know. It raises very serious question for me as a women rights activist, that our women are even not safe at the airport, international airport also. And the employee is misbehaving, they are violating. Instead of protecting the law, they are violating the laws. They are using the women as a commodity. And you know that he hugged her and said, "Thank you." What is this? So I think the accountability must be fixed every time. I say when the accountability is not fixed. Even the company who supply these contractual employees, the accountability must be fixed on them also. Why they don't check the background and all? And CISF also tightened their security, especially on security zones like immigration and baggage. There should be monitoring and screening should be very strict level, and the punishment also be very stringent. Punishment must be given, and I agree that the redressal of such cases must be within a limited time. It is not, it is dragged year after year, then it is diluted, and the witness also hostile, and the whole thing is, go in vain. So I think that the strict punishment is very important. We have very strong laws in our hands, and those laws must be implemented properly. And I think that this incident sends a negative global message also. And India claimed to be global power and tourism destination. So these security of women cannot be compromised or can be negotiable. So I think these things are should be taken very seriously, and action must be taken. Every time we say the accountability must be fixed, a stringent punishment must be given, but I think it's a high time the redressal of such cases should be within a 2 months, 3 months, not more than that. Through the fast track court you do it. Wherever the women harassment case comes, case is dragged. Only few cases raised to rare are tried, get the redressal under the fast track court, and that too, Nirbhaya case, we have seen it had taken the 9 years, I think 8 to 9 years. So it is very disturbing that we talk that we have laws, but they are not implemented properly. So this time I think again it has happened, and again I will say it sends a negative global message.
Right. In
So
fact,
it should be taken very seriously.
Right. Dr. Swati Jindalgar, the focus of the entire discussion in the end then comes down to that contractual worker. We have spoken, Mr. Sahai has spoken about, background checks that are necessary. But when we look at this entire incident as well, a male staffer was taking this victim, who's a female, towards the men's washroom area, and he was not challenged by any security personnel who were on ground over there. He was not challenged by the CISF people who were present over there. So that raises a great concern, ma'am.
Of course it does now, but we need to also see that whether any sort of objection was made by the woman. So if two people are walking down together, nobody knows where they are going, and people definitely don't know whether that woman is being coerced to enter a men's washroom. From what I have read, he did this act outside or near the men's washroom. Now the fact that he himself was also employed there and he was a ground staffer might have been one of the reasons why nobody thought it fit or saw a reason to stop him from accompanying a woman. Because see, like I said, nobody knows that he has concocted this to unknowingly flouted. As it is, we are stressed about being in a foreign land and not having enough help or the knowledge of law. So that lady also understandably accompanied him. It is only when that act occurred that she thought that something was deeply wrong. In fact, I'm glad that she had the courage to even report it in a foreign land, because most of the women under similar circumstances would have just sort of let it go, thinking that, oh, this is a terrible country and let me just get out of here and just be away from this whole scenario. I don't want to report it. What if they hold me back for some further investigation? So the check could have been there probably had some alarm been raised. But if the alarm was not raised and if she was simply accompanying him, then I'm not surprised that nobody saw it fit to stop them.
Okay. So, Mr. Sahai, do you believe how can we solve or resolve such kind of situations? Because like Dr. Garg has in fact pointed out, if somebody asks you, you're in a foreign land, if somebody asks you that you have to undergo a second security procedure, you will comply thinking that you're flouting some norms. How do we make sure that you know we are not in fact harassed by some employee?
There is no denying the fact that you work under stress, or under stress when you are in a foreign land, and mostly in a situation of security clearance and baggage check and immigration and things of that nature. There are two things which you'd like to bring to the notice of your audience. So one is that there are areas which needs to be handled only by the security staff and the immigration staff, and nobody else should be allowed in that particular area. Ground staff, there is absolutely no reason why it should be there. So in airports today also, that nature of segregation is not happening. That's point number one. Point number two, if we have CCTVs, and there if we are able to bring artificial intelligence of the nature which the capability is available, the movement of this nature gets recorded and there is an alarm which is raised. Thirdly, and most importantly, there is a need for a psychological test of every single individual who comes either on a regular employment or on a contractual employment. And fourthly, as you get into an aircraft and you are told over and over again to tie the seat belt, even if you are a regular passenger, so you need to know the utility and the safety component of it. I think it should be a media blitzkrieg inside the airports that no woman can be frisked but for a woman employee. So that has to be made crystal clear. It should be so ingrained in women that they would just not like to talk to anybody or react straight away, that it is none of your concern and it is not your responsibility. So broadly, we have to start in that manner.
Okay, so you believe that there should be more awareness among travelers as well. When you are undergoing a travel, you need to make sure that a female staffer approaches you, because that is the norm, that are the rules that have been put in place. Tahira Hassan, how are you looking at this situation? Because Mr. Sahai raised a very important point, a contractual ground worker. How is he making his way into the security area where only CISF personnel or people who are involved in the security measures should be allowed?
I said this in my opening statement, that it is a responsibility of CISF, to strengthen monitoring and screening on the security zones like immigration and baggage area. So how this happened, why they were so lenient and not taken in account that what is going on, and that should we tell our foreigner people that at our airport this can be done? I mean, I don't think so. It will send a bigger negative global message. I think the CISF should take the responsibility and should see it, and the companies also who just supply these employees contractual basis, they should also take the responsibility. If they don't take, at least fix the accountability on them. It's not only, why the priority of the women's security is not the top for the institutions and the state and these airports and all, that women are now not safe even at the airport. Our foreign women are not safe at the airport, and this is very disturbing also. Right. And it will affect our tourism also. I mean, think in so many different layers and levels. And what has happened is very disgusting and shameful.
Absolutely, and it does impact in some way the image of India as well. Dr. Swati Garg, your closing comments on this entire incident. You've mentioned stricter laws that can pave the way for a safer environment for women as well.
See, at the end, I would like to say that knowledge beats everything, awareness beats everything. Though, no matter how many laws you make, until and unless people know what their right is, people know what their, where they can seek redressal, people know their rights enough to object to something that is obviously not correct. Until unless that happens, and until unless the offender himself is worried about the repercussions to an extent that he has examples to fall back on, where instead of being allowing the matter to linger till infinity, immediate redressal is given to a victim and the offender is put behind bars and the strictest of punishment is given to them. Until and unless that time comes, we can keep making laws, and I don't see any outcome of such laws that are not implemented properly.
Right. Mr. Sanjay Sahai, your closing comments on this entire situation?
My final thought is that the law has to be brought to the ground. It has to be made enforceable in a manner which is strict and rigorous. There has to be segregation of areas in the airport. What I have seen in all Indian airport, that all staff can move all around the place. So that is broadly where the genesis of the whole issue is. The contracted employees need to go through very, very strict background verification and psychological test. And the trial should happen within a maximum of 1 month, given the close and shut case, and the predictability of punishment within a stipulated time, that will send shivers of the potential offenders.
Right. And Tahira Hassan, before I close this discussion, your last thoughts?
Yes, I believe that we have very strong laws in our hand, but they must be implemented properly on ground level. There must be a stringent punishment, and redressal of such cases should be with the fast track court, and it should not linger on, then only it will present a deterrent. Otherwise, there will be no fear of the laws, Then the people have no fear of the laws. They know they will get away after committing this kind of crimes, and that weakens the accountability also. Always weakens the accountability.
Right.
No accountability is fixed then. So I think the stringent punishment is needed and redressal of such case by the fast track court. As soon as possible, do it. The redressal should be done.
All right. Stringent laws, fast track court, review of all the contractual employees, in fact, all the employees, a psychological test of all the employees, and awareness and knowledge from the consumers or the travelers themselves. These are the crux points in order to avoid such incidents in the future. I thank you, Dr. Garg, Tahira Hassan and Mr. Sahai, for joining us on the broadcast to discuss this matter.